Martise will come around the screen, get in the lane, step back jumper on the way. Got it. Offensive rebound, Alex White. Putback is good.
It's center court with Charlie Ernst on 88.3 WLFC.
Martise needs to pick it up, sends it ahead to Ricardo. Ricardo to Terrence Sullivan, who slams it down with one hand.
Join Coach Ernst and the Oilers on Air team as they take a look back at the week that was, discuss what's happening around the conference, and preview the week ahead.
TST going to work, goes to the right hand, bucket in the foul, Tyler Stern-Tucker.
Now, let's join men's basketball coach Charlie Ernst and the voice of Oiler basketball, Jason Granger.
Hello and welcome to Center Court with Charlie Ernst. My name's Jason Granger, and right now I'm talking with the head coach of the Oilers. And Coach, coming off a really good weekend, you go on a Thursday and kind of walk into a hornet's nest there at ODU. They were really ready to play. They had a nice crowd, and it was a game of runs. And luckily, we had the strongest run at the end and came away with a win.
Yeah, you and I talked in the pregame of that one. We both knew it was going to be a very difficult game. Ohio Dominican is fighting for their playoff lives right now, which is exciting for them because this late in the year, they haven't been in this situation since they've been in the GLIAC. So, and then obviously they've got a lot of talented players on top of that. So, it was the type of game we anticipated and expected. As you mentioned, a lot of runs, 9-0 run for them, 10-0 run for us, 9-0 run for them. Fortunately, we had the last run, and the clock ran out on them.
Well, a lot of things worked against you in this game, and I thought this game was a big step in the right direction. Eric, you've had a number of them here, but early in the year, I'm not sure we come away with a victory. We sent them to the line 21 times. There were several times in that game where we could have put our heads down and kind of went away. It didn't do that, stuck with it, and got them at the end.
Well, yeah, our guys deserve a lot of credit. I think that game was a big step for our team. We had to dig as deep as we have all year there late in the game, and they didn't give up, and it didn't look good with, under 4 media timeout. We were kind of losing steam. Dominican had all the momentum. We were struggling to put consecutive stops out there. And when you do that on the road, it's very difficult to get a win. But I think both our offense and defense came together in the last 3 minutes. I think they scored one bucket in the last 3 minutes, and that came with about a half a second left on the shot clock. Obviously, a lot of things have to go right to make up a 10-point deficit in 3 minutes. It's not just one thing; it's a lot of things. So, and a lot of those things happen. But give our guys credit because we work on those situations more than people realize. In fact, here over the last month, we've probably spent at least 25% of our practice time on situations like that.
And you got a big performance from Martise Kimbrough. He had 22 points, 4 assists, 3 steals, including a big 3. I believe they were down by 3. Ricardo scrambled for a loose ball. They find Martise on the wing, and he was able to tie it up.
Well, we had about 2 or 3 loose ball situations in that game that we just didn't come up with. I'm not sure why, but Ricardo put his body on the line, went after that ball. It was on an out-of-bounds under. We missed the shot. Taryn missed a wide-open 3, but he kept it alive, and then Ricardo gobbled it up and threw it from his butt, threw a perfect pass to Martise, stepping into a 3 right in front of our bench. And it's not only that it went in, but we shared the video, Jason, with our players on Saturday after our last scouting report session at Lake Erie. And to see our bench explode, our guys wanted us to replay not the shot, but the celebration on the bench 2 or 3 times because they were having so much fun watching some of their teammates jump up and down. So that's neat to see, and I think it motivates guys. But I think it was the combination, Ricardo's hustle and the shot itself. Of course, that tied the game.
Terrence Sullivan had 29 points, 8 rebounds. They only gave him 1 assist. He had to have more than one. Terrence's play over these last half of the year, really all year long for that matter, has been great. And I guess as a coach, you just hope it just continues because he's been outstanding.
Well, he has, and I really believe when he plays well, Martise is always going to shoot it pretty well, but I think they feed off one another. And it's a lethal combination. In my opinion, the best combination in the conference. So I think Taryn, obviously he's a very tough matchup. And some of these teams are putting some pretty good defenders on him, and Mike DeLeon is a very good defender. Guards some of the best players in the league at that 3-4 slot. And then on Saturday, and I know we'll get to them, Brogan Scott, very similar. I know earlier this year he held Kyle Monroe to, I think, 8 or 10 points when Lake Erie beat Michigan Tech. So, it's not like he's going against bad matchups doing this. But he's playing with a lot of confidence, and so much of the game is mental. We got to keep Taryn in that frame of mind.
Taryn and Martise have been so good, and I think sometimes, Elijah Collick is the forgotten man, and I thought Elijah had a great game at a Thursday. 10 points. You wouldn't know it throughout the game, but he came around on a curl screen, and I think his game has changed in these last 4 or 5 games, where I think before he might just take that shot, a contested three. Now he's putting it on the floor. He's getting inside and making shots, and it's making him hard to defend.
One word I've always used to describe Elijah is efficient. And I'm looking at his stat sheet. He took 6 shots. He made 4 of them. Had 3 assists to 1 turnover. Had a steal. Had a rebound. 2 of 4 from the three-point line. One of the things I talked to him about a month ago is I felt like, he's a very good three-point shooter. His stats reflect that, both on our team and in the GLIAC, because he's in the top 5 guys in terms of shooting percentage from the arc. But one of the things I told him is, you've got such a good pull-up game and you're really good at finishing at the rim with either hand. I said, I just don't want you to put so much pressure on yourself that all you take is threes, because you're too important in other areas. And countless times this year, people remember his threes, but when I go back and watch video, I remember a lot of his twos. And he made 2 of the biggest ones in the last 3 minutes of the Ohio Dominican game. He made a driving finish with his left hand, just inside of 3 minutes, and then he made a little pull-up jumper, which got us, I think, within 3 at the time. So, he's just Mr. Consistent. That's Elijah Collick.
And I thought Aaron Overheiser continues to improve. He had 2 points. He was 1 of 5 shooting, but 6 rebounds. And his nickname's Moose, and he certainly shows it out there. But he brings you guys something that maybe no other player does on your team, which is just constant hustle on the rebounds.
And he's just a big kid in there. I mean, he even when he doesn't get the rebound, he usually knocks 1 or 2 people down, and I think just helps maybe our personality as a team when he's out there. I think teams that might prepare for Findlay in terms of, they're more of a finesse team, they're more of a jump shooting team. He's a guy that kind of changes that notion when he's on the floor, because he's going to be mixing it up in the paint. He can step out and make threes. In fact, he took 2 against Ohio Dominican. Both of them were close misses, and we're comfortable with him taking those because he's actually a good three-point shooter. But he makes his hay in the paint, and he knows that. We never have to remind him of that because that's home to him.
It certainly is, and an 82-79 win. And you look back at some of the road wins you've had over this season, Coach, and you beat Ferris State in overtime, Michigan Tech by 2 on a last-second shot, and then this one here. This one, to me, is just as impressive as all those other ones because of what was on the line.
Well, you go back within the framework of a season, and I haven't done it lately, and I don't have time to do it in my head right now. But I think this is our 7th or 8th game. That is 7th game, I believe, that's where the game's been within 1 possession with under a minute to play this season. And that's somewhat typical in college basketball. It's usually end up in that 8 to 10 range. So this was our 7th one, this Dominican game, and we're 6-1 in those 7 games. And as I always say, how you manage the end of games can make or break a season, and I think we're proving that this year.
They certainly are, and you get the win and get to 19 on the season as far as win total, and then you had to go Saturday to Lake Erie, and I was concerned about this game coming in because of how well Lake Erie played us at home, and they add to that they were coming off a really tough loss at Ashland where they got blown out, and they haven't been blown out that really too much all season. You figured they'd be ready to roll, and I think they were. They got off to a 5-0 run to start, then we came back with a 12-0 run and really controlled it from that point on.
Well, I was concerned going into the game simply because it was a road game, and every road game makes me nervous. Well, you know what, let's face it, as a coach, every game makes me nervous, but especially road games. And But I will say this, I felt good. I can usually read the body language of our team, and I think the way the Ohio Dominican game ended, I thought we had good energy. Our guys were pepped up to get on the bus and head to Lake Erie. I thought we had a good shoot-around on Saturday morning, so I felt good about our guys coming into that game on Saturday. So, they got off to a little good start there, but our guys responded, and I think it was a combination of two things. We defended them consistently for 40 minutes, and then number two, we shot the ball extremely well, and that always helps. And the last time we put a hurting on Lake Erie on their home court like this was when Greg Collig went off for 38 points a couple years ago. So sometimes that's what it takes when you go on the road. If you have that kind of a shooting day, there's not a whole lot your opponent can do.
Yeah, had a great shooting day, and Martise had 32 points, and we'll get to him. But I wanted to start with Ricardo Smith, because I thought Ricardo, over the last 7 or 8 games has been struggling a little bit, but I thought he played his best game in maybe a month or two, and 8 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 3 steals. He did a great job on Sean Howard, and then was also good when he had his opportunities to score.
I thought it was Ricardo's best game in a month, and I think what it goes to show us, maybe goes to show him, is how important really he is to this team, because when he plays well, we play really well, because we have some consistent parts that are operating at a very high level right now. And, this position for him is a little new. He's not totally comfortable. I think he's pretty close now. But unlike a lot of point guards who have made a lifetime at that position, he hasn't. And so it's been a little bit of learning on the fly, but I think it always starts with your defense. When you're fully engaged on that end of the floor, good things happen on offense. I think case in point Saturday afternoon for Ricardo.
Well, Martise Kimbrough had 32 points and played 25 minutes. And over the last couple of games, Martise has been playing anywhere from 36 to 39 minutes. He plays 38 minutes in this game. He might have had 48. And it seemed like everything was going in for him. He was 8 of 10 from three-point range.
Well, to be honest, I didn't realize he only played 25 minutes. Most of it's because we had a good lead and I could rest him a little bit more. And then late in the game, I took him out, which I normally do at that 8 or 9 minute mark, usually for only 2 or 3 minutes. And then I have him back on the floor for the last 5 in most games. But in this game, when I took him out at that 8 or 9 minute mark of the game, we had him down maybe 22, and in the blink of an eye, Elijah hit a couple threes, Ricardo had a couple finishes at the rim, and just like that, it was 30 with about 5 minutes to play. So really, at that point, it made no sense at all to put him back in the game, especially with the amount of minutes he's played and what we have coming up. So, he's normally, if that would have been a close game, or even a reasonably close game, he may have gotten to 40 in that one, which, like I said, that reminds me of a couple years ago when Greg Collig went for 38 against these guys. So, yeah, he was in a zone like our fans have seen before at home. But he's just a tremendous shooter, and when he gets going, he makes everything easier on everyone else as well, because it spreads the defense out. They close out hard on guys that even aren't great shooters because they're tired of getting threes dropped on them. And we've done that before. It ends up being one guy that stretches your whole defense, and he's got that ability.
Certainly does. We're running out of time in this segment. We got to take a break for some commercials. When we'll come back, we'll finish talking about this Lake Erie College ball game and then look ahead to this week. 2 big ball games in Croy. This is Center Court on 88.3 WLC.
Only 0.5% of all high school student athletes play basketball in college. But all 100% of them become adults. That's why playing basketball on their high school team is so important. High school athletes learn life lessons that help them grow up. Lessons that can't be taught in the classroom and often aren't taught at home. This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Check out my new time machine.
Does it work?
Hit the button.
Hey, it's Napoleon.
Oui. Check out the future.
Hey, you have a nice house. Why don't I?
You didn't save any money, buddy.
If only there was a way I could go back in time and fix that.
Yeah.
Save something for the future. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So we all know we've got a lot of talent in America, but unfortunately there's something else we've got way too much of: childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gather surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Center Court. Jason Granger here, and still talking with the head coach of the Oilers, Coach Charlie Ernst. And Coach, just continuing our conversation about Lake Erie, and you mentioned how well you shot, and I think a lot of that has to do with your defense. You held Lake Erie to 36% shooting, and anytime you're able to hold a team like that to under 40% means you're getting a lot of defensive rebounds. And Terrence Sullivan is one of those guys that's getting rebounds, and when he's leading the break, your guys are just a tremendous team because he's able to either get to the rim and score or find guys wide open. Terrence had 7 assists.
Well, and you and I talked about this on the bus ride home, that I even questioned that because I thought he had as many assists in that game as I've seen him have all year. He had about 5 in a row at one point in the second half, and a lot of those were, we got the lead out to 20, and they were less patient on offense, which is understandable. I mean, you're staring up at the scoreboard at home with a 20-point deficit. You're normally not going to come down and run 30 seconds consistently off the shot clock, but some of those quick shots resulted in long misses. And those long misses resulted in Terrence Sullivan getting rebounds and leading the break. And he just puts tremendous pressure on the defense. First of all, he handles the ball very well in the full court. And then secondly, he's very unselfish. So he's seeing the floor. He can throw it with either hand. Just a great passer. Maybe one of the best passers at his position that I've ever seen play at Findlay. And and you mentioned you questioned the rebound total. I guess we can say we question both totals. And maybe that's something for one of us or someone to do, when we get time, is to go back and check that out and make sure that he wasn't shorted any. But bottom line is, when we can get defensive rebounds and start to break that way, and really even Tyler Stern can do a pretty good job of that. So that's just an element most teams don't have.
Terrence Sullivan officially left with 18 points, 10 rebounds, 7 assists. As I do the game, I usually keep stats as well. I had him with 12 rebounds and 11 assists. But, hey, whatever they saw, and it was a great game for Terrence. And I think because you got that lead and because you guys are playing so well, it was a good opportunity to get a lot of guys in. We talked a little bit about it in the post game. I think Aaron's been getting some significant minutes, as has Kat, and I thought Kat played well on Saturday. But, Chaz George, Matt Ashley, those are a couple guys that are very important in this program. And I made note of it when talking about Matt. You can see when he comes in the game, you can see he's a good player, and he's just kind of waiting his turn. He's behind some great ones. And when it's his opportunity, I think Matt Ashley and Chad George, they're going to be ready to go.
I do too. I mean, we've been I think those guys over the last couple of weeks have picked it up in practice even. And I think that's important, and I think because I harp about that from day one, about how important every guy is in this program, not just Taryn and Martise, but all the way down to the last guy on the bench. The guys that don't even travel are important because when they practice well, they make our other players better, and they make themselves better. And the future of our team sometimes lies with a few of those guys, and Chaz and Matt are two great examples. Very talented guys, but we have to keep them motivated because, as we've seen this year, we're only one injury away from one of those guys playing a lot of minutes. And so they have to be ready. And I think that was good to see them, A, get some playing time, and B, play well when they did.
They certainly did. It was a nice 92-55 road win at Lake Erie. Got to 19 wins on the season, 13-4 in the GLIAC. And now, Coach, we change our focus to the week ahead. And Thursday, Tiffin comes to town. Saturday, Ashland. And certainly we got a lot to play for, an opportunity to win a GLIAC South title, and then obviously to continue our win streak going and continue working to the postseason.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think for our team, we really haven't talked really all year about goals, specific goals. They know it goes without saying our first goal, if we were to talk about them, would be to win the GLIAC South. And that's really what this Tiffin game represents for us. A, it's our rival, and B, it's a chance to lay claim to the GLIAC South all by ourselves. So, in some ways, it's a championship night. So that's the way we're going to approach this game. Like any other, we have to have a good week of practice, and I think we will. And then Thursday night rolls around, we'll be ready to play.
This will be the second time against the Dragons. Of course, we had a road victory versus Tiffin, 75-58 at their place. And that was a game where Tyler Stern-Tucker really played well, 18 points, 5 rebounds. But I think more than that, you guys really had a nice defensive effort. Anytime you can keep in college basketball with a 30-second shot clock, a team under 60, you're doing a lot of things well.
Well, and that's partly why we got the win we got on Saturday against Lake Erie. But, yeah, I think prior to the Lake Erie game, maybe our best defensive effort of the year may have been against Tiffin on their home court, where they normally score well at home. But I thought for many years here, I think we've done as good a job of scouting Tiffin as we have anyone. And I think our players were focused on that game. And I think a lot of things came together. But I think you mentioned Tyler. I thought our guys did a great job of finding him behind their defense when we penetrated. They tried to play some zone. Didn't work very well. We've got a pretty good team against a zone because we can all dribble and pass and shoot. But we need and that kind of production from Tyler is going to be really important because his offense has been stymied just a little bit over the last couple weeks. Maybe that injury set him back a little bit, but we got to get him going again. It'd be nice to see him play well again on the offensive end.
Tiffin will come into this ballgame 11-14 overall and 6-11 in the GLIAC. And again, I'll say it. I think we said this with a number of teams in the conference. I think you put Tiffin, Saginaw Valley's another one. They've had a rough year, but Tiffin maybe hasn't had the year they want. But man for man, when you talk about McCormick, you talk about Adams, Johnson, Mavens and Kennard off the bench, they have just as much talent as anybody in the conference.
Well, 3 or 4 of those guys are like Division I transfers that were pretty good at those places, highly recruited kids out of high school. So the talent's there. They have some very good individual talent. Khalil McCormick and Austin Adams have both had the type of games throughout this season that have been worthy of GLIAC Player of the Week type honors. And I think Tony Kennard has done that in his past. So they've got a lot of pieces, and at times they have put it all together and have played some of the best teams in the GLIAC very tough and in some cases won. So I think our guys understand. One thing about Tiffin, our guys see them a lot in the summer. In fact, last summer our guys went to Tiffin a couple times during the summer and vice versa. So they know Tiffin's personnel. I think that's one thing that helps us. Not only do they know their strengths and weaknesses of their players, but I think our players respect how talented this team can be if you let them get started. They're such a momentum team. I think that helps in our preparation for Tiffin. Our guys respect them.
And certainly with Tiffin more than likely out of the GLIAC tournament race, they get a win here on Thursday at Findlay. It'll make their season. And then Saturday, Ashland comes to town, Coach, and the Eagles put it to us. No other way to say it. The game was over. You said it. It was over at halftime, and we didn't do a very good job. They played very well, and that's one that hopefully we can get back on Saturday.
Yeah, they have been a very good home team, as we have. And, they run a little bit different of an offense than most teams we play against. And we did, it was a combination of maybe our guys weren't quite ready to play at the level they needed to be. That's on me. Number 2, I did not feel like we had a very good plan of attack to stop them. I'm feeling like we're going to have a better plan as a coaching staff on how to control their dribble drive type offense. They got by us consistently. They shot layups and made threes, and I've always said you can beat teams if you can limit one of those. You don't have to limit both. When you do, the team only gets 55 points. But if you limit one of those two, chances are they're not going to get to 70. But if you let them get both, your opponent's going to score over 80, and it's going to be awfully hard to win. So we've got to have a better plan of attack. And our guys, I'm certain our guys will be ready to play after what happened the first time.
In Ashland, you look at their 3-guard attack that they have in Haraway, Osborne, and Cook. Is there a better 3 guards in the conference. I mean, they're outstanding. And, you look at some of the North teams, those 3 guys, they've led them all year.
Well, they have, and they played as well as they have all year as a threesome against us. I'm not sure if you go back and look at any box scores, if the 3 of them played as well together on the same day. Usually 2 of the 3 play well, shoot well, score well. Some nights when they've lost, only 1 of the 3 has. But in the game against us, all 3 of them played extremely well. And for us to win on Saturday, that can't happen. And I'm going to challenge our wings, our guards. We've got to do a great job of containing the ball. That's going to be number one in our preparation for Ashland.
Also on Saturday is Hall of Fame Day, and the basketball team has 2 guys coming home, so to speak. Mike Pullman, a 99 graduate of the University of Findlay, and then Dustin Pfeiffer, who I believe graduated in 2006, coming back. And not too often sports gets 2 guys in the Hall of Fame. Both those players outstanding.
Yeah, I was a big part of both of their careers here at Findlay, both in the recruitment of them. I'll share this one quick story about Dustin. When Dustin was a senior in high school, I had been really involved in his recruiting, and when he made his commitment to Findlay, he called and said, "Coach, just wanted to give you a call and let you know that I'm going to go to OU." And anyone that knows Dustin knows that he's a big jokester, And I said, "Oh, really?" I said, "Well, good luck there. Blah, blah, blah." And he said, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm coming to Findlay." So, and then he gave that little Dustin chuckle. And he said, I don't know how I could go anywhere but Findlay. And obviously he had a tremendous career, really changed our program in some ways. And I know a lot of coaches in the GLIAC were happy to see him graduate, but he's a great example to little people that play this game, that you don't have to be 6'6" to have a big impact on the game of basketball. You can be 5'7". He might list himself at 5'9", but he's 5'7". And the impact he made each and every game is notable with his size. Not many guys across the country can do that, what he did at his size in this game.
Well, Dustin is part of really a number of special moments, and maybe one of our first special moments in Division II when we won the regional here at Croy. And I think fans will remember the embrace between him and Ron as he came off the floor beating Ferris State, and such a special moment. And that's really, our basketball program was big before he got there, but as you said, it definitely took another level and propelled us to probably that Division II national championship.
I think it did. And really, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about Mike, because prior to Dustin, it was Mike's class. It was Mike's senior class of him, Mark Bishop, Tim Heyman, that really put us on the GLIAC map. I mean, they were a part of the program when we first joined the GLIAC, and they were making hay in NAIA. And their first year, I think those guys were all juniors that we were in the GLIAC, and the GLIAC chose us to finish last in the GLIAC, and we finished first. And Mike was a big part of that. I think he was GLIAC first team all conference 2 years in a row. Another guy, 6'5" center, playing in a Division II conference where 6'8" and 6'9" was the norm. But no one played bigger in this conference and inside than Mike Pullman. So two not only great players, but great guys. And that have done a lot for our program.
They certainly have, and I think a lot of people, when they think of Mike's class, they start with Mark and Tim, but Mike, for 2 years in a row, his junior and senior year, led the team in scoring, and I think that kind of gets forgotten from time to time. The Hall of Fame is February 18th, 11 o'clock. You can still get tickets. Call the UF Athletic Office for more details there. Well, Coach, 2 big games, a championship week, as you said. Good luck, and we'll see you on Thursday.
All right, thank you.
That's head coach Charlie Ernst. Want to do a couple reminders here before we get out of here. Thursday's game at 7:30. We'll have pregame at 5:15 for the women if you can't make it out to Croy. On Saturday, make sure you get here early and often. Tiffin will travel well. They have an outstanding women's basketball team, and they'll be here early. So men's fans, certainly you want to get here to the game to get your seat. That's going to wrap up Center Court. For the coach, Charlie Ernst, I'm Jason Granger. This is Oiler Basketball on 88.3 WLFC.
Martise will come around the screen, get in the lane, step back jumper on the way. Got it. Offensive rebound, Alex White. Putback is good.
Thank you for listening to Center Court with Charlie Ernst.
Martise needs to pick it up, sends it ahead to Ricardo. Ricardo to Terrence Sullivan, who slams it down with one hand.
Tune in every Tuesday night during the season for your connection to Coach Ernst and Oiler men's basketball.
Back over to Alex White. Alex, kick out to Elijah. Nick will launch it from downtown. Nick Rusatz buries it from three.
This is your home for Oiler men's basketball. 88.3 WLFC.